Here we go. So, last we left off, you guys took part in the Ever Dance. Danced with in pairs with each other. Some of you chose to abstain. Some of you chose to try and convince a couple members of the other party to join into the dance. The other party members, Colette and Emile, actually ended up winning. But they were chill enough to they acknowledged that you were the ones that convinced them to dance in the first place, and that you were totally cool about it. And so they ended up giving Levy the prize, which happened to be a rose of some sort. And from there, you guys sort of chit-chat a little bit about the different things you had noticed in regards to time, apparently. They had mentioned that they were trying to do some investigation and had heard of a place called the Tragedy House up here by Royis. And they investigated to find it unrelated to the other apparent strange goings-ons. I can't talk this morning. And intrigued by this, you guys decided to investigate. At this point, however, it is evening. Do you want to stay somewhere in the city?
I imagine so. It's been a day of dancing.
Yeah, those of you who partook in the dancing are pretty fucking tired at this point.
Yeah, and after Demir's love confession, I don't think that activity is anything Lish is interested in. So I think turning in for the night and finding an inn would be best.
Okay. Do you think you want to stay in the same place you'd been staying in before, the Blooming Elderberry?
I imagine. I mean, we already have the rooms there, I assume.
Yeah, I don't want to go changing up hotels. Why do that?
Okay. I have to find the room prices again. Yeah, 8 silver pieces a room per night.
Okay, sounds like a plan. And then we'll get up in the morning and go raid a haunted house, I guess. That directly A to B that we want.
Yeah.
Yes, no?
Yeah.
Yo. All right. Yeah, no, I mean, the Everdance would have taken a lot out of all of us. I mean,
Yeah.
even 2 hours of dancing is nothing to snuff at, let alone over an entire, like, work day plus. Like, God.
Oh my God. Demir and Lish were dancing for 50 goddamn hours.
All right. So how many rooms do you guys get in the inn?
At least one.
No rooms. We just like get a table and just conk out at it.
We get one room.
And get the
Probably
bouncer to
need
kick
at
you
least-
out.
At least 3. Because if Lish and Demir are in one, Levy and Tobias are another, and then Hawk and Aaron in another.
All right. So
Yeah, I'll
that
drop down the coin for that.
would be 24 silver pieces. You can divide that out however you guys want.
Aaron pays for his and Hawk's room.
Tobias will pay for his and Levy's.
I can pay for it or Demir can. Either way. Oh, Avery's frozen.
No, they're both Averys are moving on my end. So
Oh,
Kenzie, you're frozen on my end.
I think it's just a you guys problem then, because you guys both look fine to me.
yeah,
The internet is a
Same here.
mysterious thing.
the bandwidth itself does not want Lish and Demir to be together.
I can hear you now. So do you want to pay or do you want Lish to pay?
You pay. I want to keep my 444-433.
A noble goal if I've ever heard one.
That's fine. How much was it again, Avery? It was
It's 8 silver.
8
8
silver.
silver
24
pieces
total.
per room.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yep. There we go. And probably dinner and sleep.
All right. There's various drinks, but I think you guys got dinner last time, actually. So you might be good there.
Okay.
For those of you who eat.
Oh no, just buy a leg of mutton for a hawk. What could go wrong?
All right. In the city, an uneventful night of rest passed. Come to consciousness in the morning. Head down to the inn. There's the sort of clientele at this point. There's mostly people who were at the festival yesterday. Some of them are more hungover than others. There are maybe a couple kids down there who each have either won prizes or their parents have won prizes for them, and they're kind of just shouting at each other about whose prize is better. But it's pretty chill.
Cool.
Do we want to ask about this tragedy house? At least, like, know what we're getting into.
Wouldn't be a bad idea.
I mean, at worst, we'll probably hear some interesting stories.
What kind of tragedies are we talking about here exactly?
If it has anything to do with the flaming skull, I highly advise we pass.
Seems unlikely, but perhaps.
We probably have a
Like,
better
kinda-
clue if we knew the state of the house, but we should
Looking
probably
around,
ask around. Yes.
yeah, I was gonna say, like, looking around the tavern, does it look like there are any, like, local looks like they, like, know?
Well, let's see, there would be there is the bartender who is a female dwarf. She is kind of just once the whoever is in the back is done cooking, they bring the food out to her. She puts it on the counter, shouts for someone to take it, and then just goes about her business.
I mean, I guess yeah. Demir will go up to the bar, and just kind of see if she can, if the bartender is not too busy, see if she can get her attention.
Yeah, you go up to the bar, and the dwarf woman comes up to you. Can't recall if you talked to her before.
I don't think so, unless it was like just to order drinks or something
Yeah.
like that. Drinks or food. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. How you doing this morning? She kind of looks you up and down, like, need a little bit of something for that hangover.
No, actually I'm fine. Just tired from the dance, surprisingly enough, not hungover.
Oh, so you took part in the dance then?
It was quite the unique experience.
Well, it's a fun festival. It's very popular. I get all sorts coming in from around the country.
I can imagine. So, while we were at the evidence, we heard some people talking about a haunted house not too far away from here. They called it the Tragedy House. Have you ever heard about that?
I have actually. The term tragedy house is more of a bastardization of the family's name that used to live there, actually.
Oh?
Yeah, they were actually called the Trices.
Is it actually haunted?
Well, I can't say. I've never been there myself, but the family died with no real heirs or anything. The house fell into a state of disrepair, and then kids started doing what kids do, daring each other to go in, spend the night, and then get scared out. That sort of thing.
So you don't think it's actually anything of interest, huh?
Well, I mean, between you and me, I do believe in ghosts, but I wouldn't go there personally. I just out of superstition. That's supposed to be bad luck. Don't actually know if there's a real ghost or anything there.
I see. Well, thank you. That is informative.
Of course. Did you want anything for breakfast?
Demir kind of looks back at the group. How how down and out do they look?
This looks all right.
Don't ship her.
All right.
Demir will just shake her head and say, no, not. I think we want to get headed out, but thank you very much. This inn has been absolutely lovely. We will certainly be back next time we're in Royis.
I'm glad to hear it then.
And Demir will let herself get kind of step back from the bar so that someone else who clearly needs the bar's attention a little bit more than her can get their order. And Demir will make her way back to the group.
All right.
Well, it could just be an empty house, an empty old house, it sounds like. I still want to check it out.
Out of character, was the tragedy ever mentioned or talked about?
The bartender, whose name, by the way, is Myra Alloway. She just said that the family who lived there died without any heirs.
Okay, so like no cause was ever mentioned or anything.
Nothing was
Not even
specified.
with the other party. Okay.
The other party, when you had spoken to them, the stargazers, they had just kind of, the way they talked about it, you got the impression it was more of like an old, just kind of creepy house.
Had they said like where outside of town it was, or was it just kind of outside of town vaguely somewhere?
They said it was out in the countryside to the southeast.
Okay, so kind of where we're going. That's perfect.
Just out of character, I find it very amusing that she's like, "Oh, I don't believe in ghosts," when we literally have an ancestral path barbarian over here who summons his ghost, the ghost of his dead grandfather, regularly.
She was saying that she believes in ghosts, but but she's more of the type to believe like in the superstition sort of ghost. She doesn't.
Okay. I just heard I don't believe in ghosts. So I was like, it's hilarious that someone can do that in a D&D setting. Yeah. Right. So it sounds like we might be heading towards that house then.
I'd say so. Everyone is ready.
More than it.
I'm as ready as I will be. Sorry about that yawn.
Okay. Are there any errands you would like to run before leaving Royis?
Well, we're not leaving permanently, right? We'll be able to come back. I'd like to be able to go to the university before we leave forever.
It's up to you guys.
They did say that the tragedy house was outside the city proper, so we could absolutely just weave that into leaving Royis. So it might be a smart idea to get whatever we need doing done before we check out the house.
Well, Demir, since you weren't exactly able to track down a divining rod from the university librarians, I'm wondering if your contact at the university might have a more direct route. I don't recall that you had spoken with her directly.
I, she's not really a contact. She's just. I just spoke to her briefly.
Sounds like you made contact to me.
Yeah. Should probably check it out.
What was her name again? The professor of Warlock Studies?
Wina Idun.
Professor Wina Idun, yes.
Dr. Adun. We can stop by there on our way out, can't we?
Mm. Do you think Demir is going to pull out Nivara and just like, do you think anyone at the university would know what to do about this?
Right, to get it taken off of your person.
To get it fixed so that we can give it back to Valkyrie.
Let's ask. Maybe only a priest can do it, but perhaps a professor can do just as well.
Hmm.
All right, so we'll stop by the Universidad
Okay.
once it becomes a bit more of a reasonable hour.
All right. So there was the College of Arts and the Katia Institute. The Katia Institute is, of course, the one that's more focused on magic. Where do you go in particular?
I don't know if Lish remembers getting there. He was a mink when he last saw this woman, so I don't know if he knows how to get there, but Demir walked there before, so
I think like Demir will just tell him where she had found Professor Idun last. Because she doesn't need to see her.
he doesn't want to come with.
Huh?
He doesn't want to come with?
Nah, it's good. It's fine.
Oh, come on.
All right.
Secrets of the lamp.
All right. Demir will go with him.
All right. Okay, so you head back to where you recall Professor Dun's office is. Do you knock on the door? All right. There is no response.
Is it locked?
Do you try the door?
Yeah.
No, it is not locked.
Lish will kind of knock a little as he tries the door and says, "Professor," as he he looks at Demir like, I don't know what the fuck, fucking wizards.
I know.
I thought wizards were supposed to be glued to their desks. What is this? Wizards being outside of the box that I put them in?
Impossible.
Impossible.
Inconceivable.
All right. You open the door and there is no one in the room. The office itself is pretty small and cramped. Given that it is an area of the school with like a dozen other offices, like door to door, there's a kind of a messy desk as well as a nice stack of books next to the desk. What do you do?
Kind of look around a little bit and see if she's there.
I mean,
is any of the oh, sorry.
The room itself is very small. You can clearly see she is not there.
She's not under her desk? No secret bookcase?
Well, an investigation check.
If I'm rolling an investigation check, I'm rolling to see if I can find something more than a woman. Lish will kind of look out into the hallway. Is there much, if any, activity out there?
Yeah, I was going to say, are there any other, and are any of the other offices occupied?
Do you go door to door, Demir?
I mean, like, I feel like I do that, like, walk down the hall and kind of look in the offices to see if anyone's in there, but, like, she's not going to knock on every single door.
No, in fact, I think Lish would discourage her from gathering attention.
Yeah, she's not going to do that. She's just looking to see if anyone's in.
Yeah, because as Demir goes to see if there's anyone down the hall, Lish is going to do kind of a little investigation check around the office to see if there's anything interesting.
Lish, you can roll an investigation check. Demir, roll a perception check. You're trying to kind of listen and see which offices might be occupied.
That is a 14.
14.
That's a 7. Me.
A 7 or 17?
7.
Okay. Okay. Demir, you can hear a couple people talking in one of the offices. But you can't make out anything that they're saying. You're not really sure about the rest of them. Lish, what specifically are you looking for?
Tuning forks and books on Fae specifically, or just kind of anything that looks kind of sus. Like skin journals.
So, there, Lish, you looking around on the desk, it's mainly stuff you would kind of expect to see in a professor's office at a college. There's a couple of ink pots in one of the drawers and some extra pens. There's a kind of a messy stack of half-graded papers on her desk itself. There is a locked drawer.
Yeah, and to be clear, he's like doing his very best to not like touch or disturb anything as he's doing this in case someone just walks right in. There's a locked drawer. Is there anything else in the office that seems like locked up or?
No, and the books that are visible, one of them is what you suspect might be a textbook for one of her classes that she teaches. Another one is let me just double check my list here. One of them is actually kind of a smutty romance novel. It's kind of tucked underneath the rest of them. But yeah, the locked drawer is the thing that's of interest to you.
I don't really have any way to open up a locked drawer. if I like try the handle, it seems like it is locked up.
Yeah, you try the handle, it is locked up.
Let me see here. Don't think I have. Is it like I don't have lockpicks? I don't have any kind of.
The pixies with their little hands can't get in there.
I mean, they could try. I don't know. If I cast detect magic on the drawer, does it seem magical or contain magic within it?
Not at all.
There's no magic within it.
No.
The tuning fork that I have, does it radiate as magical?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, I kind of poke my head out to Demir and kind of see where she's at.
Demir is like looking back at like is standing like kind of by your door, kind of keeping an eye out, and not very good eye out because she's like overhearing this conversation. She's like trying to hear it, but like can't make it out. So it's just like it's really irritating. When you poke your head out.
Can I hear the voices since I hear Demir listening for them?
Yeah, you could probably hear them.
Can I make out anything they're saying or who it is?
You would not recognize the voices.
I see. He's gonna whisper to Demir, just like, I don't see anything of interest. There's a locked drawer.
Well, I don't imagine it has anything aside from maybe her teacher's notes.
There's nothing magical in it, at least.
Should we ask someone?
Well, we have neighbors here, shall we? Kind of close the office door behind us and act like we never were there.
Yep.
So maybe knock on the door of this meeting that's happening.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You knock on the door, and the voices stop talking for a moment. You hear some rustling, and then you hear someone call out, come in. All right. So you see two people in this room. One of them is someone that Erin has encountered before. Alcir Uthalia, who is the Medusa with brown skin and green snakes for hair. Wearing her blind.
I love her.
And she is speaking to, I'm gonna pull up her description, a human woman with brown skin and long, sleek, dark hair. She's very striking and her features are very angular. And she turns and looks at you, and it seems like her dark eyes are kind of piercing into you. And Uthalia says, can I help you?
Kind of the first instant that Demir sees that Medusa, she is grabbing Lish, like grabs his arm and kind of arm across him a little bit for a moment before realizing, wait a minute, that's not that's a little different from the one we encountered.
Lish gets mom.
Yes, this one is much more human-sized.
Yeah, Lish got the like mom holding the child in the car seat.
Mom seatbelt.
Yep.
Lish like, whoa. Lish is gonna be just like, good morning.
Good morning. I'm sorry, I don't recall seeing you in any of my classes.
We were actually here looking for your next door neighbor. Kind of looks at Demir. Dr.
Idun.
Dune. Ian.
Yeah, I haven't seen her today. I think she might have the day off, and she, even though she's blindfolded, she kind of looks towards the human woman that's there, and she says, I do believe that she was intending to do some research on her own today.
And where does she usually research? At home or on campus?
Either or. If you have access to a settling spell, though, she's pretty quick to respond.
Access to her, sorry, I missed.
She's saying that if you have access to a sending spell, she's quick to respond.
We have, let's see here. Doesn't Demir have access to message or sending?
I have message, yeah, but it has to be.
You have to see her, right?
Yeah,
It has to
or it
be
has
within like 500 feet or something.
120 feet. 120 feet, yeah.
Well, you could try it, I guess, but
I don't even know where she is, direction-wise. I did have a slightly different inquiry.
yes, maybe you guys would be able to help us with our problem.
I came into possession of an item that bears a curse. And I would like to get it uncursed and returned to its more rightful owner. And I'm not quite sure where to begin on that one.
The human woman kind of just steeples her hands and says, I would be glad to examine this item.
Yeah. And Demir will give her Navara.
Make a wisdom saving throw.
Oh, fucking hell. Not great. That's a 6.
You really don't want to give her your sword. It's your sword.
Demir,
Why should she have it?
Demir starts reaching for the sword and just kind of like.
Lish pipes up and says, the curse is clinginess.
I just want to hold on to it.
She doesn't want to hold on to it.
Perhaps.
Can I put it out? Like, can I hand it out with like holding onto the edge of it so that like I'm not letting go, but
so this this human woman, whose name you've not bothered to ask,
just professor.
Perhaps we could take this to my office. Kind of looks towards Alcir Uthalia and says, "My lady, we shall continue our conversation later." She kind of just like sweeps gracefully to her feet, and there is an air of power about this woman. Air of power and grace.
I appreciate your assistance. Admittedly, I'm not familiar with all the staff here. Professors.
My name is Alcir Uthalia. And the human woman says, I am referred to as Soul Caller Lavanya Isitana.
Can I do like an insight check as to like the power difference between these two, like what their deal might be, or?
Sure, roll an insight check.
$21.
All right, that's enough for whispers. Hold on.
No, we got whispers.
This whisper brought to you by the pot roast that I've been. Avery, I don't know if this roast should go on low or high heat. What do you think?
I would do low heat for now and then turn it on high about like 2 hours before you're gonna serve.
All right. Whispers sent. So the soul caller starts to kind of just lead the way through the halls, and her posture is straight and her arms are behind her back, and she's wearing some very fine jewelry.
She seems to be maybe important in the university. Is there anything I can perceive about her position?
She seems to be just one of the professors.
But she's so fancy.
You can ask her about it if you want.
Yeah, he'll kind of pipe up before they separate and just be like, "May I ask what the two of you specialize in as far as your craft?"
The Alcia, her area of interest lies within divination. My area of interest is rare, as it cannot be pursued without direct permission from the Archmage. And once permission is granted, all activities that I teach are under close watch of the Institute, but my area of expertise lies with necromancy.
Lish seems interested in that. Peaked. How does one end up pursuing such studies? Is it just a passing interest, or en route to more deeper studies? How curious.
Are you interested in becoming one of my students, or are you asking about how I fell into this myself?
No, that first, I mean, introductions and all.
You would need to, first of all, gain admittance to the Institute itself. And at this point, I would need to test you to see if you have essentially what it takes to pursue necromancy in a safe way. From there, I would metaphorically take you under my wing, and you would be reviewed by the Archmage, and once permission is granted by both myself and the Archmage, I would begin to teach you my craft. It is under close watch, close supervision, as I'm sure you can imagine.
And so I ask again, how did you find yourself falling into this craft?
Roll persuasion check.
He's a 14. It's not bad.
My family has a long history, and I was encouraged to pursue the same interests as them before they were caught and the titles were stripped.
Interesting. Kind of looks at Demir, and this other. Never mind. Lish'll just kind of look at Demir and just be like,
With
"All right."
an interest in that, I imagine you're familiar with the Tressay house, not too far out of town. We heard rumors that it was haunted.
I do not leave the city very often, but I have heard of the Tressay family and the manor, yes. I do not believe that they engaged in necromancy.
That's good to know.
Did they know how they died? He asks both Demir and the professor, because I don't think he really overheard Demir's conversation.
Based on my knowledge, the children died separately. The first I've heard was ill from a young age. The second, there was some sort of accident that occurred. Thereafter, the husband disappeared, and the wife withered away within her own home, to my knowledge.
Well, that certainly sounds tragic. Hence the name, I suppose.
I suppose so. And at this point, you arrive at her office. She pushes the door open, and it's maybe slightly bigger than that of Professor Adin's, office, and it's less of an office and more of you get the impression that this is where she does the vast majority of her research. Instead of a desk, she has a table. There's nothing on it at the moment. There are a couple of tools off to the side that look like they're for embalming. And there's a small shelf in the corner with a couple of boxes in it for spell components. She approaches the boxes, and she starts to withdraw some various incense, and along with 4 ivory strips. And while she is sort of getting her materials out, she kind of just waves her hand lazily at the table and says, place the item there if you can.
I'm gonna try and put the sword down again.
Roll a wisdom saving throw.
Oh, that's a natural one.
You do not want to be in this room. And at this point, Nevara actually starts speaking up and saying, you can't trust her. Don't trust her.
Demir like freezes in the whatchamacallit, like the kind of entry area. And like kind of starts to back up a little bit. At least towards the wall.
Backs into Lish, and Lish
Yeah.
like, are you okay?
Just switches to my hobby, like, maybe this is a bad idea.
Well, we don't know until she tries. I don't much like wizards either, but
Do you really trust wizards?
like I said, I don't really trust wizards either. But I think we should give this a shot. He'll kind of like help push her forward into the room at least, because he wants to see what's going on.
I don't think this is a good idea. I think we should leave. We should probably get on the road. The others are waiting for us.
Lish looks at her and is just like, what are you sensing? What do you feel is wrong?
I think this is a bad idea. I do not trust her.
Nevara speaks up in your mind again. She's going to try to hurt you. She's going to try to take the sword for herself. She's going to try to hurt him too.
Edwin, I think we should
This
leave.
bitch.
Edwin, I think we need to leave now.
Darling, we know that this sword it doesn't want to be rid of you, and it will do whatever it can to have you keep it close. Yes, that's what I told Volk when I first tested the sword. Is anything bad going to actually happen if you are uncursed?
Do you really think that a wizard is being honest about her intentions for it?
The sword
You
speaks
are
it again in your head. She said herself she's a necromancer. Everyone knows that they're terrible people.
So the same could be said about us. We are absolute.
That is, yeah, I mean, honestly.
They're evil,
Navara.
they're cruel. I'm not certain why this one was allowed to work here at this institute, but she must have tricked them somehow. She's trying to trick you too.
Lish will kind of make sure Demir doesn't go wandering, but he'll look to the professor and just be like, what exactly are you setting up?
I am hoping to cast a spell that would allow me to understand the history of this object, perhaps. Current tales, forgotten stories, secret lore.
Lish looks at Demir like, that doesn't sound like a death ray. In Maharavi.
Sword says, she's a liar.
Can I do like an arcana check to kind of like insight arcana, see if what she's setting up kind of rings true to what she's
Roll an arcana check.
Oh, please be good. It's a 15.
15. You are not particularly familiar with the spells of wizards. That is not really your purview, but like, I mean, you feel like if you're going to do something shifty, she'd probably have more shifty spell components, right?
Demir in Marhabi is just going to like, who said that she's going to cast the spell on the sword and not on you?
It doesn't seem like it's necromantic in nature. I still have detect magic up, I believe.
Yeah, the last 10 minutes. I mean, the spell components itself aren't magical. What's going to be used for the magical thing, but like,
yeah, but like the traces of magic on the tools don't appear to be.
No.
Yeah.
In fact, there's lots of like abjuration within the room itself.
Lish kind of like holds Demir's arms and says, I will keep you safe.
Okay. I know, but can you keep yourself safe?
I will keep an eagle eye out. He looks over to the professor as she's setting up and is just like, he looks like he's gonna say something a little pointed, but then he kind of eats his words a little bit and waits.
Navara speaks in your head again. Demir says, he died once before.
Shut up.
He died once before, and I can help heal.
Is the sword speaking to you, darling? What is she saying?
I don't want your companions to die as much as you don't. I want to help them.
What is she saying?
I won't be able to help if you give me to the necromancer.
If we give up the sword, we lose her healing.
But if we break the curse, you'll be able to use the sword and its abilities without fear. Right? Demma, you cannot listen to the voice in the sword. Is this not what we learned about from Erin? You don't want to be like Erin, right?
I mean, come on now.
Next thing you know, you'll be writhing on the ground screaming. It'll be bad news bears.
First a cat demon in the head, now a sword. What's next? A rock?
Samir actually kind of like a little like, you're comparing me to Aaron?
If the brain worm fits, I mean. Come now, darling. You are stronger than that.
I really do not want to let go of the sword.
Well, then hold on to it for now. She's still setting it. We'll wait patiently for the spell work to all get set up.
Okay. Yeah, she brings the materials to the table and sets the ivory pieces down in sort of a diamond shape, and puts some incense at the put some incense on the sides of the table, and she folds her arms behind her back and she's just waiting.
Are you ready?
I can tell you the history of the sword.
Lish is like shaking his head behind Demir, like.
I cannot help you if you do not wish to be helped.
She wishes to be helped. He kind of like nudges Demir forward a little bit.
Oh man.
Can I, like, I don't know, give her advantage on her next wisdom save because of my moral support?
I'll tell you what, roll persuasion.
Persuasion. 16.
Okay. Yeah. You can give advantage. Demir, you can roll another wisdom saving throw with advantage.
It's the anti-Aaron pep talk.
Well, that's a natural 20.
Right. You
Hey.
You're hesitating, but then you feel Lish's presence beside you, and you very carefully put the sword down on the table, but not before you feel a flash of anger from Nivara. And at this point, the soul caller starts to cast Legend Lore. This takes 10 minutes. Do you do anything in that 10 minutes?
Demir is just like pressed at Lish's side. Like she still kind of like looks like she, instead of wanting to run from the room, it looks like she wants to lunge forward a little, but she's like relying on Lish to hold her back.
Yeah, Lish is definitely if she tries to lunge forward or otherwise move, he's kind of got her like around the waist, like nicely, but ready to be not nice.
All right. So takes 10 minutes to cast the spell. And the soul caller kind of blinks slowly and takes a step back once the spell has been cast. And just seems to consider the sword for a moment. And says, I am not certain how you came across this object. However, there is... She like kind of pauses and says, what did the sword tell you it was?
It said it belonged to a paladin named Nevera, and that she died, and the sword was abandoned. It can heal, and it seems to want to be an instrument of good, but it is cursed, so
This sword was indeed, it does indeed contain the soul of a paladin. However, it was a paladin devoted to Beshaba, the goddess of misfortune.
she told us Timora.
Nevara created the sword and sealed her own finger bone in it as a sign of devotion. She was, in fact, killed by a worshipper of Timora, who then cast the sword into the Underdark with the hope that it would be lost.
So
Is there a
So
way
what
to
do-
remove the curse?
Not without destroying the sword. The sword in itself, it heals, but it also takes. It seems to be something of a snare, in that if you give too much, it would capture your soul and try to give it to Beshaba in exchange for her own freedom.
Does it seem like it would be easy to destroy?
No.
Is there anyone at your university who is adept at removing curses on people, not necessarily on the sword?
It would take more than a simple remove curse. I think that you would need the help of a cleric.
There are no clerics that function at your university.
No, our magic lies more with the arcane rather than the divine.
Perhaps we should leave it here. Perhaps separating the two would be best for now.
I fear that would not work. The sword and whomever it's attuned to they would find a way back to each other.
Lish looks so pissed. He's pissed at the sword, but he's also like mad at Demir for attuning to this damn thing, even after you told her not to do that, and she did it anyways. He's so mad. There are no clerics in this damned town. God.
We know of clerics. Demir is just going to snatch the sword up as soon as she can. We know of clerics.
What does
Are you asking if you know clerics or if she knows clerics?
Demir is just telling Lish, like, we know clerics. We can handle this on our own.
We know where to find them. But they are half a continent away.
Well,
My suggestion at this point is maintain your connection to the sword as willingly as you can. But remember that what she says cannot be trusted.
So mad.
let's just go. And Demir is going to try and leave again.
Best of luck.
Lish is gonna kind of catch her hand for a second and just be like, there was one other thing that I was hoping to find an answer to while I was here. Is if a professor such as yourself might vouch for a non-student to be able to use a divining, what are they called? The divining chimes?
Tuning fork.
Tuning fork, that's the word. Might be able to ascertain or help acquire a tuning fork set to the Feywild. I understand that there is plenty of bureaucracy involved. If there was some way to step around that for very urgent matters regarding the Feywild.
Perhaps I may be able to put in a good word should you perform a favor of some sort for myself or the university.
What kind of favor?
It is rather confidential.
Lish kind of gets a little smile, and like as he looks at her, like, oh, totally thinking about the thing you whispered.
It is confidential. Are you staying in the city long? I would prefer to discuss this perhaps outside of the Institute.
We are just heading out to the haunted manor. Would you care to join us outside of the grounds as we make our way?
Return shortly. Once you're done, the haunted manor is not less than a day's trip away. Return once you are finished, and I will be able to find you.
We are staying at, or have been staying at, that one inn on the other side of town. So if we return...
The Blooming Elderberry.
Blooming Elderberry. So if you cannot find us, that is likely where we'll stay.
Very well. And whom should I ask for?
Lish or Demir.
Very well. I wish you luck in your endeavors.
Yes, we shall see how it goes. Until next time.
Until next time.
It scoops Demir up. Still so mad.
Demir, who has been hugging the sword to her this whole time since the ritual ended.
Yeah, like she's got a death grip on that sword.
Walking with her like a parent.
Take it away from you. That's pretty fucked up. That's your sword.
Demir walking, Lish walking Demir out of the building like a child like a parent whose child just got like suspended. So.
All right. And what are the rest of you doing while all this is going on?
Chilling, probably.
Are you
Yeah, I imagine
like
we're all
on
just kinda hanging
campus?
out.
Or are you exploring the city? Well, what's going on?
I don't imagine Lish and Demir brought us with them to the campus.
Yeah, we would have brought you with if you wanted to come. There's like an archive and professors and all sorts of stuff to look at.
Okay, you know what? I think
Is
Hawk
the
would take you
archive
up on that.
open to non-students?
You can certainly find out. I don't know.
So you did go to the archive before, and it's not as fine as the actual proper National Archives back in Opius, but it is open to non-students. 10 gold per hour of research, one book at a time.
Is it 10 gold per book, or you just can't have multiple books claimed?
You can't have multiple books claimed at a time.
Okay.
And
You know,
Tobias is fine with just kind of sitting on the campus gardens or whatever, waiting for Demir and Lish to finish.
Actually, there are campus gardens. There is a professor of natural studies, who studies the drawing of magic from natural resources. And so there's like a section of campus up to the side where various magical plants are growing, and either for study or to be converted into spell components.
Neat. Tobias is just gonna like find a bench to sit on and just hang out and wait.
It's pretty lovely.
campus garden. Could find worse places to spend your time.
All right.
Hawk will absolutely want to do a bit of research, though.
Okay. So, 10 gold per hour of research, one book at a time.
Uh-huh.
What's
I don't
your
know.
research?
Honey.
I don't know how long he's going to be researching, but
We'll just
he's going to
call it an
follow.
hour.
Okay, he's going to follow a hunch and see if he can find anything on time distortions.
Roll an investigation check.
All right. I need to actually grab the dice out. Where's the 20? There's the 20. That is a 12 plus 2, 14.
14. You're not able to find much. It's what you do find is very vague. It's vague and full of like conjecture. You are able to find a story of someone who attempted to travel back in the past in order to retrieve something and then return to the future. However, he found himself bound to the spot that he had cast the spell, and he found himself teleported back there forcefully every so often with increasing frequency until he was stretched so thin across space and time that he just scattered to dust. You don't know if this is a true story or if it's to try to convince those to avoid pursuing this path.
I've taken a very good note about this story. I'll share it in the Discord later. Okay. Is he able to find anything else, or is that all 14 given?
Not in an hour. Because by that point, Lish and Demir would be all done.
Okay.
I'm also going to say that Levy was hanging out in the gardens with Toby.
Oh, yeah.
I think Aaron's gonna.
All right, let me just take out.
Aaron.
Single.
Yeah, I think he's gonna go do some research of his own.
Okay.
He wants to see what scholarly study has been done into any, which monsters that might be lurking in some Civic Mountains. Rock. See if you can pick up anything here about that.
All right, roll an investigation check.
All right. Ooh, that's a 19.
19. Okay. So to the mountains to the west, there are plenty of creatures there. There are various rocks. There are some giants. There are a couple of orc tribes up there too. Sort of just the typical things you'd expect to find up in the mountains. You are also able to find a history book that discusses how back in the Serpentine era, which was thousands of years ago, there used to be a black dragon that lived there called the Caustic End. And the Caustic End himself was responsible for the creation of a lot of tunnels with his acidic nature.
All right. Well, that's interesting.
The dragon has been long since killed, though. His death is well documented.
All right. Well, worth looking into.
All right. Anyone else? Going once, going twice. All right. So where are you guys going?
Sold to the Fae in the back. We're probably going to the house, I would imagine. Unless we have further business to conduct, which allegedly we don't. That's a thumbs up from Kenzie.
All right.
The house.
House.
So, just for this, for the sake of this, I'm going to have one person roll investigation with advantage. Just to see if you can find it properly.
Has the highest investigation. I have a +1.
I have a
Hawk has-
+5.
I'm gonna let Toby do it. I'm gonna assist him so that he can roll twice.
Okay.
Wait, hang on. Did you say it was disadvantage or advantage?
Advantage. since
Advantage.
everyone's
Okay,
assisting.
Toby actually doesn't need the help then, because he's got advantage.
But
Well,
we got a
that was
10.
the assumption that you guys would assume with advantage.
Rolled twice.
Yeah,
I
roll twice.
did. The first
Oh.
was a 5. The second was a 1.
Oh no. We get lost and we die.
Damn it.
Yeah,
Not again.
a rock falls from the sky.
It's hard for Tobias to find because he's like, I don't know this area and I haven't seen the house before.
Yeah,
This isn't my neighborhood.
Takes you longer than you were hoping to locate the tragedy house, but after like a couple of hours on the road, looking around, asking some farmers for directions, you're able to eventually be pointed towards pointed in the right direction. And as you're walking, the sky is overcast and it looks like it might start raining soon. And eventually you come upon an old house in ill repair. There are 3 levels visible from the outside, and there are various paths along the dead lawn that lead to various parts of the grounds. In the distance, you can see one of these paths leads to what seems to be a graveyard. What do you guys do?
How close are we now? Are we just coming up to it, or?
You're just coming up to it. You're like still fair distance away. I'd say you're maybe like 120 feet away.
Yeah, as we get very close, like closer up to like the front gate or the door, detect magic up.
Okay. So as you approach, you can see that there is a porch out front. Let me switch to the correct playlist. So the porch itself is creaky and covered in dead vines, and there's an occasional bug that crawls across it, but it's otherwise unremarkable. The wood is damp in some places, which would probably not be good in case which would probably be good in case the house caught fire. It'd keep it from spreading too far.
Thankfully, we have a warlock who's addicted to Grasp of Hadar instead of a sorcerer who's addicted to Fireball, so...
There is a nice front door there that looks like it was once very fine.
Are we supposed to be able to see it on Dimension 20 or just?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
Cool.
If everyone else is too paralyzed with fear,
No, Lish is sussing.
okay. Hawk will suss with him.
As we approach, and does he sense anything or perceive anything walking up towards the front door?
Not particular. Just looks like an old house.
Can I do a investigation or perception going up, looking for ghosts?
Alright,
how about you do perception and I'll do investigation?
Okay.
While they're doing that, as we walk up to the house, you said that there's a path leading off to the graveyard.
is
Mhm.
the graveyard visible from like the path? Like if Tobias just looks straight down the path and stuff, will he see it, or is it implied that it's through the trees or whatever?
You can, it's too far. You can't really see it too well. You can see the surrounding iron gate. It there's like a 7-foot tall iron fence enclosing it. There's seems to be a dead tree in the very middle of it, and if you kind of squint, you can make out the uh, the name Tri-C is worked into the iron arch above it.
What do you see, Tobias?
I was just looking at the graveyard over there. It has the family name in the iron. I'm curious if we might be able to see names of family members.
Shall we go look? I got a 19 armor perception around the porch front door.
Okay.
And Hawk got a 16 on investigation.
Okay. Lish, you don't really see much. I mean, there you see some bugs crawling across things. It's
Sus.
yeah, you know.
It's the classic DM. You see a spider on the wall.
Mhm.
Response.
Hawk investigation, kind of poking around. Near-ish the front door, there is a pot that seems to have once held a living plant. It is very dead and very dry. You can't even tell what it's supposed to be. But tucked behind it, there is a key.
Ooh. Well, it's not stealing if the prior owner is dead, so Huck's going to grab the key and say to Lish, if the front door happens to be locked, I have our answer right here.
Does the gate on the graveyard look closed or open?
Looks open.
Let's take a look at the graveyard first.
All right.
So you approach the graveyard. The gate itself is open. As I said before, this is enclosed by a 7-foot tall wrought iron fence, and it's more to the southeast of the manor. Set into the north of the enclosure is the name Tri-C in all caps worked into the arch above it. And the gates are open. One of them is closed and the other is just kind of open a little bit, and it's creaking just a little bit in the breeze.
As Tobias goes to enter through the gate, can he be on the lookout just to make sure there's like keeping an eye out for anything moving, any potential either creature or weird creature that could be wandering in the graveyard as he walks in?
Roll a perception check.
Let's see. 17. You did it,
17.
Toby.
Woo!
You don't see anything. There are a couple of crows in the branches of the tree above the dead tree. Let me give you a visual. Upon entering the graveyard.
Could I put a mark where we entered in from, just so I know what side?
Sure, just a second. I have to find the right tab. But you entered from this gate right here.
Okay. I'm just gonna put a little dot there just so I can remember.
All right. So this is a map I got from the internet. But the 5 closest graves are over here. Within the yard itself, there are several graves. Some are older than others. And the 5 closest graves here are they seem to be the newest.
If Tobias approaches, or he's gonna approach the 5 newest graves, and just try to see if he can read a name. He's gonna avoid, stepping on the ground, the buried ground, and stuff like that. Like he's treating it with respect as he goes to try and see if he can see.
So from left to right, closest to the tree, there is one that reads, Baroness Agnes Tricey, beloved mother who stared challenges in the eye and did not back down. Then there was the one next to it is Baron Marius Tricey, husband, father. May peace find you wherever you are. Next to that, it says Aderin Tricey. May you dance and sing forevermore. And then next to that, Irene Tricey. Our pride and joy lost to us too soon. And then next to that one, Baroness Esme Tricey. Great love lives on. I'd like you to roll a perception check.
That's going to be a dirty 20.
There's something about the soil of Aderin's grave that is off, and it takes you a moment to place it. Grass has grown over most of the rest of the graves, except for Aderin's.
Does it look like it's been recently disturbed, like someone had dug it up and reburied it, or is it just oddly? Tobias is going to look a little disgusted at that, and he reads all the names to the rest of the party, and then he'll add, it looks like someone's dug up the grave of one of the children.
How recently?
Relatively recently. The soil has definitely been churned like within the past week or so.
The past week, I would say.
Is
Kind of a shame, really.
Any
Why would someone
footprints?
desecrate a grave like that?
Roll an investigation check if you're looking for footprints, Lish.
Tobias can help with that as well. He'll probably want to see.
Roll with advantage then.
I mean, if it's investigation, perhaps Tobias should.
Can't he
Lish sees
redeem
Tobias
himself?
also looking. Let's Toby take the lead.
I'll give Tobias advantage?
Go for it.
Lish prompts Tobias to look for footsteps. Wow. Cringe. That's a 12.
You do not see any footprints.
Samir, kind of hanging back a little from the group. I want to look towards the house. Does it look like there's any, like, now that we're kind of at it from a different angle, does it look like there's been, like, any windows broken? Does it look like there's been maybe any recent disturbances to the property?
Roll an intelligence check, just a general intelligence check.
Oh boy. Okay, that's a 17.
It's difficult to tell specifically due to the state of disrepair that the house is in. You can see like the roofs, many of the shingles are loose. There's a few broken windows that seem to have been boarded up. But there's nothing that would indicate a recent disturbance other than like, you know, people breaking in for I dare you to spend the night kind of stuff.
Okay. And none of the boarded up windows look like they're recent. Like, it's not like there's someone who's going through. Yeah. Okay. Well, they do let necromancers in the city, so maybe we shouldn't be surprised that their graves are desecrated.
They let necromancer in the city.
Non-necromancer?
Necromancer.
I'm not one that's quick to judge, after all. With my whole, and he kind of just indicates to his hand that the one that he usually cuts his thumb. Besides, I would assume that if a necromancer wanted corpses to work with, then why just take one? Is there a year on the tombstones?
Not at all.
Okay. And we have no knowledge of like when the tragedy occurred.
You didn't ask.
Oops.
God damn it. Well,
It's okay. If we find a ghost, we can ask them.
Aderine's her grave, her tombstone looks the same age as the rest, right? Like same amount of kind of wear and tear generally.
Roll an investigation check.
While Mackenzie rolls, Kenzie said something?
Well, I was just saying that the house has been in a state of disrepair, it seems, for quite some time.
Okay.
I rolled a nat 20, so that's a 25.
All right.
Hey.
So you kind of kneel down and touch the graves and look at them. And you come to the conclusion that of the 5 here, Agnes Tricey's grave is the oldest, and Aderin's grave is next to oldest. After that, it's Irene, then it's Marius, then it's Esme.
Yeah, I think Lish and Demir told the group as we were going the new information we learned from our Medusa friend as far as what had happened to the family.
Yeah.
So it was in order Agnes, Aderine, Irene, Esme, and then Marius.
Marius died after Irene.
Okay, so Irene, Marius, Esme.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So yeah, that confirms that Aderine's grave was messed with after the fact. It looks like they tried to bury it. Is there anything else of interest in the graveyard, like a work shed or?
There are a couple of mausoleums, but they either don't have markings or are so worn or grown over with the foliage that you can't really make it out. There is what seems to be a shed there too. That is not locked.
Royis is gonna just take a look into that, just to see. I guess like to look to see if there's any noticeable tools missing that should be in a shed for tending a graveyard. Slash, just if there's anything like that looks like it's been obviously disturbed or hidden in there.
Roll an investigation check.
It's gonna be a 10. It seems like perception's been doing really good, and then investigation has been a hit or miss.
I mean, it looks like a shed to you.
Okay, then if there's nothing like really any noticeable, then
There's a few shovels in there, a hoe, but not the fun kind.
Demir was in the shed.
grab that little hoe over there. It looks like there's not anything very interesting or just anything noticeable or odd, then Devices suggest we go check out the house now.
Okay.
All right.
So you go to the house.
House time.
Takes just a couple minutes to walk back.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, as Toby is looking in the shed, Demir just kind of like peeking in some of the mausoleums. I assume that they're kind of abandoned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, in fact, when you push open the stone doors, it's super dusty and there's cobwebs all over everything. It's fucking gross in there.
Yeah.
It makes you kind of sneeze with the plume of dust that comes up.
Yeah.
All right. So you go back to the house.
Hawk still got that key, so once everyone's ready, he'll unlock the door.
All right. The door, the key fits in the door, but it seems to be unlocked anyways.
Huh. No need for the key then, but all right. He's just gonna, like, push it open slowly. It's probably gonna be like.
Pigeon just flew into my window. Okay. Anyway.
Can't believe the pigeon cut the music. SMH.
Jeez. Okay. So let me take you to the map of the first floor. Okay. Peeling wallpaper and a musty scent cling to the walls of the spacious foyer. A curving staircase rises from the cracked tile floor to the balcony above, keeping its distance from a darkened chandelier. Doors seem to lead in every direction. There are windows close to the ceiling, with some with closed shutters and some covered by moth-eaten curtains, indicating that if they were opened up, it would let in a lot of sunlight. There's There are several doors here on the ground floor. You can probably kind of see them on the map.
Mhm.
But you all are in here.
In the foyer. Well, there's 5 doors. Where do we want to go?
Is it too late for detect magic to still be up?
Yeah.
Ah. I didn't get any magical reads at the cemetery, did I? Bummer.
I mean, what's the distance on it?
I mean, at least 30 feet.
Oh, you know what? Actually, 30 feet. Actually, yes, you would have.
Yeah, 30 feet circle around me.
Okay. Let me send you.
Whispers.
Mm-hmm.
Lichbers? Okay.
Okay.
Just for clarity's sake, does the vertical stairway lead up or down?
So this one leads up and it just kind of curves to the side. I can't really
Ah, right.
make it
Okay.
curve with my map making tool.
Just
So I did the
so
best I could.
just so I don't have a case of idiot, I'm gonna like mm, mm, there.
Yeah, so from what you sent me, Avery, I definitely would have told the group that there was conjuration magic in the grave. Conjuration magic under Adarin's grave.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Well,
Perhaps.
Adarin is the daughter or one of the children, right?
Ava
Yeah.
posted a guide in the thing. Adarin is the dance and sing forevermore person.
Right. Was that the first one who passed away or the second one?
The
First,
second one. The first
Well,
one was
the first one was Agnes. Second one was Adarin.
It was Agnes
Based
Adarin.
on Toby's natural 20 to understand how graves work.
I mean,
Listen,
I imagine
he's
he
helped
like
Elsie clean up bodies in the forest. So
I
you know.
imagine he like noted the amount of wear and tear and whatnot on the stones.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
like, okay, this one's like extremely grungy. So this is probably the oldest one.
Mhm.
And that grave was the one that was tilled, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Adarin's was the one that was disturbed, and there's conjuration under it. So with that knowledge, Hawk's gonna say, well, hopefully they're dancing and singing and not, shambling and haunting.
Turning over in their grave over and over till
Quick question: what does conjuration
Could-
magic usually entail?
Summoning, pulling things, sometimes transporting to other planes, but mostly for creating things.
Yeah, like if it's not creating things, it's doing like Skyrim conjuration stuff.
Yeah.
You'd think if it was some magical personal effect that would have been taken when the grave was robbed.
Yeah, so if it's not an item, perhaps it's the body itself, which is concerning.
I'm not really keen on digging it up to confirm ourselves. I say
Neither am I.
for the moment
No.
we leave it, and if we can't find an answer within the house or have reason to suspect there might be foul play afoot,
It
or
could
is
very
immediate
well.
concern.
It could very well be some item the child was buried with. It's hard to tell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I
In
said,
any
we can just leave it be for the moment.
Yes. In any case, let's hope that it leaves us be if it's, the shambling variety.
If she's the shambling variety.
Okay. Does anyone have any idea which way we should go first?
Well,
Love the
Samir's just going
line.
to pick a door. She's going to pick this door and open it.
All right. Let me reveal. All right. Moody landscapes and portraits of haughty-looking people in fine clothes collect dust in this modest gallery. Against the very middle of the wall on the right, there's a bust of an old woman in a large feather-plumed hat. She frowns at the group, looking almost skeptically at you all. And the small golden placard reads, Duchess Agatha Tricey.
Agatha.
Agatha. That could be Agnes, or it could be someone else completely.
Well, Agnes was a baroness.
True.
Duchess.
So Duchess Agatha
above.
was mentioned on the plaque.
Yes, Duchess Agatha. There hasn't
Okay.
there was no duchesses in the graveyard.
The reason why I'm
that we
asking is
saw.
because when I was writing down the names of all the graves and stuff, I initially heard Agnes as Agatha. And
Ooh.
so that's why I'm just double checking the titles and clarification and stuff.
This is someone new, as far as we can tell.
Yeah. Aaron's gonna look over at Demir and say, What is a duchess?
Oh, fucking hell. Well, a duchess. I don't. Would Demir be familiar with like a? I feel like she is familiar with what a Saiyan duchess would entail.
Yes.
So, well, she is typically the wife of a duke who has land holdings, as is established by the royal family. God, I'm trying to remember what a duchess is in terms of like fucking royalty. God damn it.
Well, if you had watched Bridgerton, then maybe you would know.
In theory, a duke and a duchess are the highest rank of aristocracy below a monarch and their lineage. They think themselves very important. It's a rank that is granted by the king and queen, or it is inherited.
Well, definitely explains the portrait then.
If I remember correctly, they tend to own a lot of land as well. So it's possible that this duchess owned the land out here at one point.
Very possibly. A baroness is the lowest, or baron and baroness are the lowest ranks. It goes duchess, duke, duchess, marquise, marquess, earl, countess, viscount, viscountess, and baron, baroness.
Then there's just your regular run-of-the-mill lords and ladies.
Then there's just the run-of-the-mill nobility, those who have been granted the lord of, or the title of lord or lady or knight, and all of those other titles.
They are quite fond of them, you know.
I am well aware.
Lish, you notice that when no one is looking directly at the bust, she seems to move to look at you guys. Like, it kind of Weeping Angels, Doctor Who style. No one's looking directly at her. She turns silently to continue looking at you. But she still has the same,
horrifying.
She still has the same displeased expression.
Is it a full body or just a bust?
Just a bust.
It doesn't have any whip hammery or anything. Lish will kind of go right up to it.
Doesn't have arms or legs. She's just a bust of a frowning lady in a giant hat.
Yeah, he's gonna like go stick his nose like in her face and like look and see if there's any kind of spark of awareness in those eyes.
An Arcana check.
You're looking at me, lady. I'm looking at you. Ha! 6.
And maybe you were just imagining that it was moving.
Maybe.
Lish, are you trying to have a staring contest with the stone face?
Oh, I would advise against. Those are very hard.
Is it a very like ugly bust? Is it not like a very attractive?
She wasn't a looker.
She was?
She was not a looker. She seems to be an older woman. She's frowning. It's not like the sculptor themselves, whoever they were, made her intentionally ugly. It's just that was probably her face. She does not look like the type of person who smiled a lot.
He's gonna try and turn the bust around to face the wall.
Okay, you turn the bust around to face the wall.
I was tempted to knock it off of its platform, but just
Well, we don't have a good history with disturbing stone, so
Are there any other portraits or like paintings in the gallery, or is it just the Duchess?
Yeah, there's like fancy portraits. No one you would really recognize. They seem pretty fancy. There's a couple of landscapes there.
Well,
Lish is gonna start looking around the next room.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I will have you know that I did my best to make this room round. It is not round on here.
I've used the program that you use for this this like kind of map making. I sympathize.
Yeah, but just know that this room is round.
So rounded room.
I did my best, guys.
I mean, you rounded the corners. That's good enough.
Honestly, it looks pretty good.
All right. Okay. So going into this room, this is the parlor. This room must have once been elegant. The windows on the round walls must have let in lots of sunlight at one time, but are now covered in by shabby gray with the dust curtains that have holes in them. There are large sheets covering the overstuffed couches and chairs that are arranged comfortably in front of a fireplace. There is a coffee table visible between the couches, upon which there is an abandoned game of dragon chess. Other furniture includes a cabinet full of glass decanters and wine goblets, and a 6-foot-tall gilded harp.
I'm sure this was a lot more lively back in the day.
Lish,
Abandoned rather quickly.
yeah, Lish might go over to one of the window curtains and pull them open.
All right. Cloud of dust just falls on you. Make a Constitution saving throw.
Perhaps you should have let me do that.
19.
Okay. You wave it off and manage to avoid coughing and sneezing.
Kind of shakes it off.
No different than snow.
It's kind of let a little light in here so we can see what we're doing.
All right. It's a nice room. It very much seems to be the place where the family would go to entertain company.
I gotta do it. Demir is walking over to the harp and like seeing if it's still tuned.
It is still tuned.
Ooh. I wanna play a little bit on it just to see
Okay.
if it like how well it works.
Roll a performance check.
Oh, not great. Let me check my performance because oh, hang on. Oh, not great. Okay, that is a 8 on performance.
You're plucking the strings and you're hoping it will turn out better than it sounds. You're realizing that this might be a harp that's more for decoration than for playing.
Ornaments.
Did you used to play harp?
I played a variety. My family made sure I was very well acquainted.
Did you enjoy it?
I wasn't anything to remark on about it, but
Regardless
the
of that, I
time.
think you're an excellent singer.
Well, so her response to Tobias asking if she enjoyed playing was she wasn't too remarkable at it. It was just something that she had to do, or
Yeah, basically, like it was just it. Like she wasn't anything to write home about, in terms of performance, but it was something to pass the time. She didn't hate it. It was just
just
something she had to do. Yeah.
I see.
I'm just gonna look over at the dragon chess thing. I personally have no idea what dragon chess is, and I'm quite interested.
It's one of the gaming sets you can be proficient in.
Ooh.
It's basically like chess, except they have the pieces are carved to look more like dragons than,
Okay, so it's just literal dragon chess.
I guess. I'm like, oh, I'll put a gaming set in.
Yeah, no, totally. I just didn't know that was a thing. Buck's gonna be like, I think Demir's onto something. They abandoned this in quite a hurry. Maybe they just got bored. It's hard to say.
Is there any like sign or indication that people left the room in a haste?
Roll an investigation check.
Hawk is curious too, so he's going to help.
Do I roll with the advantage since Hawk is helping, or?
Yeah.
Okay, that's less cringe. 18.
Woo!
18. Kind of looking around. It's difficult to tell, but maybe. It looks like there's a couple of goblets that have just been abandoned on the floor, but you're not 100% if that's because they were trying to leave or if that was because it's just an old place. Things have just fallen down and no one bothered to pick them up.
This room seems to be a dead end, so perhaps they should turn around.
Back to the foyer.
All right. So you're back.
When we enter the gallery, is the stone bust facing us again?
Yes.
Hawk's gonna like see that and like just like pause. And like, Lish, didn't you turn the bust towards the wall?
Yeah, the bust is actually pointed at the door to the parlor now, like as if waiting for you to come back. It still hasn't moved. It's just turning to look at you.
Like, Lish, didn't you turn that towards the wall?
I did.
What the fuck? Okay. Um,
That thing is sketch.
either someone's messing with us, or this really is haunted.
Well, my first impulse is to send it crashing to the ground, although I'm not sure we want to make that much of a ruckus.
Again, we have a very bad history with disturbing stones, so let's not.
How about Demir is going to take out like one of her scarves from her many costumes and tie it around the Duchess's head, and kind of like blind her if I can.
Okay.
That works.
You know, for our own sake. And I am going to turn her back to face the wall again when she's
Okay.
blindfolded.
All right.
And back to the foyer. I want to try this next door.
Okay. Let me reveal the room. Okay.
And
Light enters the spacious room through a cracked and broken window, which overlooks the Vale. Dusty white sheets cover most of the room's furnishings. Cobwebs stretch between a handful of antlers, wolf heads, and other hunting trophies hung up on the wall. A pale rectangle above the large fireplace suggests a picture or mirror once hung there. Placed in the corner, out of the way, is a basket with a couple of throw blankets and extra pillows.
a lounge of some sort, then.
Yeah, you get the impression that this room is more for domestic gatherings rather than social ones.
Makes sense. Well, there are two doors.
This one over here might lead back into the northern door.
Yeah.
Can Tobias look at the taxidermy?
The what?
The
Can
taxidermy.
Tobias look at the taxidermy on the wall?
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
it's
Do you-
very fine taxidermy, actually.
Very good quality, eh?
Yeah,
Does it look like it's been eaten at all and stuff?
no.
That's impressive for an abandoned house.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Kind of weird, actually.
Little sus, but we'll deal
Does
with
the
it.
taxidermy have sign of like cobwebs and things going in between them?
Yeah,
And,
there's like cobwebs attached to them, but they're not like, the stuffing isn't coming out.
none of the insects have like eaten away at the hair or anything like
No.
that. Okay.
So they're in good condition, but they clearly haven't been moving.
Yeah.
So no Waldir today, as far as we can tell. All right.
Do the taxidermies seem to be, turning, looking at people?
Nope.
Right.
Hawk voted this door if there's no objections.
That was the one that I was also going to. So
Okay.
All right. Okay. I have to find the right section. Dining room. Chairs and candelabras covered in dusty sheets attend this hall's broad dining room table. Still life paintings depicting multiple grand feasts hang on the walls, but their faded oils and stains seem to be making the food in them look rotten. On one of the chairs at the table, there is a conspicuous child-sized form under a sheet covering one of the chairs.
Well, that's creepy.
Tobias just pokes Lish, detect magic, Lish, detect magic, please.
Lish will detect magic.
Lish, what the fuck is up with that?
Lish, see the magic. Lish,
Lish, what do that be?
we don't have a wizard. Lish.
Lish, save us, Lish, please.
The child. God, no.
You
Lish,
cast detect
your only
magic
hope.
and get nothing.
Do ghosts count as magic? They would count as magic.
Ghosts are like ethereal beings, so I would assume they trip magic, yeah. But
don't know.
Bizarros?
we don't know. There's only one way to find out.
Lish is gonna slowly and carefully walk towards the form in the chair and see if
Okay.
it moves or otherwise reacts to him.
It does not move at all.
Toby, do you want to check for traps?
Hawk is going to approach the child.
Okay.
Casually approach the child.
Tobias will keep an eye, follow Aaron's suggestion to like investigate the room / like see if there's any noticeable trap or oddly placed like any indicator that could take him by surprise. I guess you have traps, whatever. I don't fucking know. I guess investigation.
Investigation? Yeah.
What? Oh, that's a 12. Okay.
No.
Yeah, you don't see anything.
Well, damn.
Hawk is going to very tentatively poke the child cheek.
Jesus Christ.
What?
Seems very soft.
Like flesh or like a
I don't
fluffed
like that.
pillow?
I was going to ask.
You don't know.
Do we dare lifting the sheet?
Soft.
Aren't we looking for a child right now?
Not really.
We're looking
We
for
know.
From the grave?
No, we know her grave has been messed with, but we don't know if she's actually been taken or not.
Well, maybe we're about to find out.
That's why I propose. Do we dare lift the sheet?
Take the sheet off.
All right. Hawk just like carefully grabs the top and then just yanks it off.
Okay.
Yoink.
Bunch of dust comes cascading over the whole group. Beneath the sheet is a ragged doll in a frilly red dress. Is a white patch that is covering a missing button eye. The doll itself is clearly very well loved.
Well loved how?
In that the child used it a lot, snuggled with it, and it has gotten old.
Okay, so it was like, it's not a life-size doll then.
It
is.
Oh, it is a life-size doll. Okay.
Child-sized.
A
It's
child-sized
toy.
child's doll.
Aw.
How whimsical.
A lot larger than I would expect of a doll, but that's a relief. Hawk's gonna put the sheet back over it.
Wait. Let's
Wait.
just gonna come over and like do a closer inspection of it,
Okay.
especially with his detect magic.
No sheet yet then.
No.
Okay.
That was a statement, not a question.
What are you inspecting about it?
The eyes, looking into its face, see if it's been like disturbed recently. And
It only has one eye, and it is a button. The other one looks like when button dolls, buttons on cloth dolls, the area around them sort of gets worn, and then like the button falls off, and like there's just a hole there. There's a patch covering that sort of vibe on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
You're still not getting any magic vibes from it. It's just a
Okay.
doll.
Well, perhaps we should leave her to her tea party and keep looking.
And now Hawk puts the sheet back over it.
If we have to.
Are you trying to scare the next people that come through, Hawk?
It's not like people make a habit of coming through here.
Hmm?
Besides, if there was a sheet over the stall, clearly it was there for a reason.
And keep the dust off of her face.
That too.
Well, I imagine that this door is also leading to the final door for the foyer, so...
There were 2 more doors in the foyer.
Ah.
There is this door and this door.
If it's not a closet, it'll certainly bring us closer to that, yes.
Well, let's take a peek.
All right.
Let's.
Let me reveal this area. All right. The ghostly scent of meals past still haunts this kitchen, forever trapped in its tables, the soot in the hearth, and the grime on its spots. A rack previously suspended from the kitchen ceiling has crashed, crushing a table and scattering rusted pots and cooking implements. A sizable iron stove is built into a wall, and there's also an old, disused bread oven. Mice scurry across the floor, doing their best to avoid you.
Demir, looks around the kitchen, giving it an inspection. And Demir is going to go up to the bread oven and kind of poke around it a little bit. See if it's good, if it's good quality, if it's up to snuff.
It has been long disused. It is full of dust and cobwebs.
Yeah. Well, then I suppose this door leads back to the foyer, so...
Yes, you might as well check that last door.
I imagine it's a closet.
Could still have something in it.
Skeleton in the closet.
Hopefully not.
We could also just come back and check it when we return to the foyer to go up the stairs.
True.
Good point.
Might as
We'll
well
leave it for later then?
The dining rooms have doors.
Yeah. 3 doors, all pointing somewhat northwards.
There's
Which
this
one?
door, this door, this door, and this door that you have not checked out yet.
We just decided to check out the closet when we go upstairs, I believe. So the question is, which northward door do we take? The den, the dining room, or the kitchen?
Oh, we are in the kitchen.
Yeah, Demir's gonna go through the kitchen door.
Okay.
All right.
This one is more of a servant's hallway. It's rather unremarkable. The hall is lined with broken picture frames, and it's clearly set aside for servants to have easy access to from the kitchen to whichever room this door leads to.
The staff room.
Well, that trims down our options quite a bit. Let's see what's...
I'm taking this door.
All right. All right. Overstuffed furniture faces a handsome concert heart, dramatically sculpted with a flock of flying doves. A cobweb-choked piano sits in the corner, long disused. The furnishings around the room are dusty and not as plush as they once The harp itself is about 6 feet tall and weighs nearly 6 pounds. In direct contrast to the rest of the room around it, it seems to be in fine condition and seems to be oiled regularly.
I'm sorry, what seems to be oiled regularly?
The harp.
The harp.
Magic energy at all?
There is magic aura around the harp.
Lish goes, don't touch that. Don't stay away from that.
I was about to say something
Oh,
similar.
I remembered the burning house. I learned my lesson.
If this one's also a demon, I'll be very surprised, but...
Looks at Demir is like, no strumming.
Clearly more than a ceremonial harp, but...
Lish is gonna go around wide berth the harp
Okay.
to this side left door.
This one here. Okay.
I think this one, yeah.
Roll 20. Why do you fight me?
It must fight.
Okay.
Library.
So the first thing you see in this room is a soft glowing figure near the back wall, about the size of a person. You can't make out any features before it steps back through the wall and disappears, allowing your eyes to adjust to the dark.
Lish closes the door.
Heyo!
Well, there's a library back there.
And...
What's in it?
I feel pretty about that.
He's gonna walk to the top of the music room and just see what's behind that door.
Lish, are you not going to
Oh
answer
my
your own
God.
wife?
All right. I have to, so many tabs. Okay.
There's like 8 fucking ghosts in here.
Desiccated vines sprawl across tables and foggy glass walls of this conservatory. Rusted gardening tools and pots of barren soil lie scattered across sturdy wooden tables. Between eye blinks, however, the conservatory is alive and filled with flowers. A transparent woman with a parasol strolls through the room, pausing here and there to admire a bloom and adjust a pot, and then looks towards you. Just as suddenly as she appeared, she vanishes, and the room lies in ruin once more.
I'm sorry.
I don't know if people are like looking in behind him, but like
If you were looking into the room, they saw it.
well, he just kind of, if you weren't looking into the room, he just kind of like blinks a couple times and then closes the door.
So that's 2 in a
Another
row.
Empty room? Eh?
No, that's a gardening room.
And...
He kind of turns back towards the harp and, do I know what kind of magic is on the harp?
Let me see.
Lish, are you not going to tell us what you
I'll
saw?
make the most sense here.
Llama magic.
It would probably be a mix of divination and enchantments.
So not necessarily something that would be automatically harmful to touch.
Not necessarily.
If I step closer to it, does it seem to react?
No.
I have to touch it to cast Identify. I don't really want to touch it.
Well,
while Lish is inspecting the harp, Demir is going to look in the library because he opened the door, announced it was a library, and closed it, and she's just kind of like, I'm looking in the library.
So you look in the library, and this room has several bookshelves lining the walls. It kind of look around at the shelves. Most of them are about the history of Novelli. There are a few on hunting, and there's actually one shelf that contains children's books. Against the west wall stands a handsome roll-top desk. North of which two leather-padded armchairs face a fireplace covered with images of wolves and stags.
Be careful, darling. There's a ghost in there.
What?
There's a what?
You couldn't have mentioned that earlier.
There's one in the conservatory too. I thought we could handle it in a minute.
I was gonna say
Well,
that
then,
when
okay.
Lish, what I was gonna say was when Lish goes to inspect the harp and he's like looking at it like, I don't want to touch it, Tobias goes up to him and is like, you want me to hold your hand? And then when Lish tells Demir that there's a ghost in the library, he's like, oh fucking what?
Demir, for the record, you do not see anything in the library other than like the books and the desk and stuff.
Oh, ha ha, very
Armchair.
funny.
I mean, did
I'm going
anybody look into either of those rooms past his shoulder?
Lish went like right ahead, so Hawk didn't like see it, and then he was too busy trying to get Lish to tell them why he closed the library door. They didn't peek into the conservatory either.
Did anybody?
I'm going to say that Demir probably didn't. Like, she saw Lish go over to the door, and she watched him go from like the one door to the other door, but she wasn't like looking behind him. She was more like, what are you doing?
Let's be honest. Let's be honest with each other here. It'd be a lot funnier if Lish was the only person who saw the ghosts.
I was gonna say that Tobias might have
Lish.
followed. I was gonna say that Tobias might have followed Lish to like the conservatory to look, but I also find it much funnier if Lish is the only one.
Exactly. So it just seems like he's trying to gaslight everybody, but he's actually right.
He's the first one to notice the bust. He's the only one who's seen the ghosts in either of the rooms.
Someone is personally trying to trick Lish.
The
Demir's
haunting
like,
of
oh,
Lish.
ha ha, very, very funny. I get it. There's a ghost in the house.
And Tobias just like quietly, like genuinely with compassion is like, do you want me to hold your hand? It's like we can hold hands while we walk through here. It makes you more comfortable.
Well, we can hold hands, certainly. He looks a
It's
little
ridiculous,
like
but I won't say no.
I want to identify. Demir, does your identify also require touch?
Yes.
Fuck. Okay. Well, that was.
I have the glint eye.
Oh, let's use that. Come back here and use the glint tie on the harp. Does that only work?
In a minute, I am
room.
going to look at the desk first.
Okay. Roll an investigation check.
All right. Hang on, I gotta do some math. Oh my god, Demir, rolling for her should not be this complicated, and yes, it is. Investigation, you said?
Yeah.
Okay. That's a 23.
All right.
Nice.
So within the desk, you are able to find Duchess Esme Trice's personal journal.
Oh,
You look at it.
wait, Duchess Esme?
Mhm.
Yeah, that's one that was buried.
She was buried as a baroness. I am interested. I am looking at this diary.
Oh, that's gonna be a fun story.
Ooh.
Something befell this
Question
family.
Out of character. Isn't Agnes usually a nickname for Agatha? Or sometimes Agatha's called Agnes's?
As far as I know, they're their own names. But I don't know.
I might be thinking of specific scenarios if that happened.
Yeah. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, just a quick flip through the diary.
Okay. So within the diary, you read that Esme was indeed born in a duchess. However, family had fallen upon hard times due to her older brother's gambling addiction. And so she was in an arranged marriage with the son of the Tricey family, who did not have the title of Duke or Duchess, but they did have a lot of money. Even though it was an arranged marriage, Esme was genuinely in love with him. She thought that he was quite generous and kind, and not just because he was helping her family in this way. Although she did feel that her mother-in-law, Baroness Agnes, was rather overbearing. Esme enjoyed gardening in the conservatory. Through the windows, she would often see Marius playing with their dog, Barley, and she expressed a desire to transform the old family graveyard into a garden as well, stating that it was terribly depressing, but Agnes firmly refused. She did not really like her mother-in-law, so she did take a small pleasure when the bust that Agnes had ordered of herself had her name misspelled on the placard. Agnes then started to put more pressure on the couple to have a child and continue the Tricey line, which always made Esme uncomfortable. And their first daughter, Aderin, was born with Melis syndrome and was bedbound her entire life, unable to speak and barely able to move. Esme loved and cherished her daughter, but Agnes did not. Esme describes how Aderin would always give her the sweetest smile when she came to read to her every night, but she died when she was 13. Agnes passed away in her sleep when Esme was pregnant for the second time. In her journal, Esme admits to feeling kind of relieved about this. Their second child was born when Aderin was 9. And then it was another daughter. This time they named her Irene. Irene was more of a tomboy and was more like her father than her mother. However, she was killed by a wolf on a hunting trip with her father when she was 15. Both of the children were buried in the manor's graveyard. Marius had a family portrait in the den, but moved it elsewhere in the house when the children died, because it made him feel too sad. Esme, however, really liked that painting, and it reminded her of her children. She misses it in the den. After the death of Irene, Marius started to sleepwalk and complained of evil whispers coming from the graveyard, but one day he disappeared. Now alone, Esme tried to keep the house running as best as she could, and for a long time it was just her and Barley. She tried to maintain upkeep on the house, but soon lost heart. And that's where the journal ends.
So Marius went missing?
Yes.
I had a feeling that's what his inscription meant.
Well,
What does it say?
that's sad. It's well, Demir gives the basic summary. Esme, the lady of the house, was born a duchess, fell on hard times, was married lower than her station, in an arrangement to save her family fortune. Had 2 children. Her mother-in-law, the Duchess Agnes, who is our portrait friend back there. The portrait was misspelled. The bust
You mean the
was
bust? Yeah.
misspelled. Yes. She was overbearing, and a bore until the day that she died, it seems. But what was the Adarin was sick, it seemed. She had, was it Mellis syndrome? Do we know what that is?
Yeah, it's a syndrome in real life, actually. It's a neurological disorder.
So she just had like
She was-
a at birth brain malfunction in a sense.
Yeah.
Mm,
Brain
that's
and
sad.
body.
Mm,
It's
She was
genetic.
okay.
born sickly, and their younger daughter died on a hunt, killed by wolves.
Mm,
Marius disappeared, and Esme was left behind. More or less the story we knew.
interesting. I wonder why Marius went missing.
Wonder if he's still alive.
I doubt it.
Demir out here not mentioning the evil whispers.
Oh, her writing is a little odd. She believed that there were evil whispers and mysterious happenings in the graveyard coming from
It's
the
not
graveyard.
that she believed it. It's that after the death of their children, her husband started to sleepwalk and would
Oh,
complain of evil whispers coming from the graveyard.
yeah.
And then he just disappeared.
Yeah. So when we're talking about him disappearing, Demir just, well, he wasn't well. After the loss of both of his children, grief does things to a man, and he,
You saying he went mad?
I would suspicion that the graveyard was whispering to him. He sleepwalked in the night, so doesn't sound like a man of sound mind.
I would say that's more an indication that there's something more going on in the house. I mean, we have Exhibit A over here, and Tobias indicates to Aaron.
I was going to say, experiencing what we've experienced, that doesn't sound like
Aaron's
a
just
simple case of
waving.
madness.
Like, based upon what we have experienced so far, and what Lish has said he's seen, the fact we all can confirm that the statue or the bust in the gallery moved on its own, there's definitely something more going on in this house, and it would be ignorant to claim otherwise.
I would be surprised if there was another backwards-handed cat in the mausoleums, but...
Backward-handed what the fuck?
Remember that
The
thing? That...
Rakshasa.
He's referring to the Rakshasa that
Is it-
we fought for Iran.
Is it a backward-handed?
It's a backward-handed cat.
Yeah,
it's a
they're
tiger.
tigers and they have backwards hands.
Yeah.
They're
I
like...
didn't know that. No one
Yeah,
told
they're-
me.
Yeah, they're like...
I wasn't there for that session.
Oh, man. I forgot about that. Sorry.
Yeah.
Backwards handed tiger man.
Yeah.
Tony the tiger, if his hands were terribly cut off in a
If his hands were grotesquely
Serial
Related
malformed.
accident.
But no, like, Toby would probably remember that unless he, like, stayed behind. I don't remember if he did. I
No,
don't think he
Tobias
did.
didn't stay behind. I just was not there to pilot him.
Right. Okay. Well, now you
Um,
know.
Yeah. Well,
Well, I mean, certainly
something to
it
keep in
could
mind
be
as we
an
go now.
option.
There are more ghosts in the conservatory, but would you use the glint eye on this harp? Don't really want to touch it.
Sure. I'm going to look at the harp with the glint eye.
Okay. So you speak the command word, and you can tell that this harp is probably worth about 1,000 gold pieces. It does possess a magical aura, and it has not been stolen within the last 10 days.
Yep. Well, it's magical. It's worth a lot of money.
Does the glint eye, it doesn't tell you what it does.
Nope.
No.
I wish it told you if it was harmful or not. I have lesser restoration, but if I touch it myself, I don't think I could cast restoration on myself if it compelled me in some way.
I could,
I can.
but perhaps we want to hold off on any identifying. I can only do it a handful of times, and if there are ghosts about or evil spirits, we might want to
Let's wait.
preserve
That's
our ability.
That is fine.
You can come back to it.
My curiosity is all.
Okay.
I'm certainly willing to touch it and identify it, but it does not seem immediate.
All right. So do you head back to the foyer then?
Back to the foyer.
Should we
Alright.
check out this one last closet before heading upstairs?
Before you do, stepping back into the foyer, the scarf demier that you tied around the bust is just sitting in the middle of the floor.
Does nobody else want to look in the conservatory besides Lish?
Tobias is willing to go look.
Yeah, hold Lish's hand and we'll go look in the conservatory briefly.
Yeah.
Go and peek in the conservatory, and yeah, all the plants looked like they were overgrown and then died. It would be a very nice conservatory, though, if it were cleaned up a little.
No magic, no ghosts.
Nope.
For a moment, it seemed as though there was a step back in time to when people were living here. A woman.
I suspect we might see more of that as we go through the house. And for what it's worth, I do believe you.
There was also a little girl in the library, but only for a minute.
Not a girl, just
just
another
a
woman.
child. Oh, a woman. I thought it was a kid.
The kid was the doll in the dining room.
Oh, there was a person in the library for just a second. But after we take a look, we'll head down to the foyer with everybody else.
All right. See if we can get through this first floor before it's time to call it. So you open the last door?
Yep. Demir does, right?
Yeah.
All right. Rusty hooks line the walls of the small room. Hanging from 2 or 3 of these hooks are an old shovel and rake. A dusty gray cloak hangs from the 3rd hook next to what seems to be a trap door in the floor. The door in question has a thick iron padlock on it.
Your key may come in handy after all, Hawk.
I was about to suggest that. Let's see. Hawk will attempt to use that key on the padlock.
It does not fit.
Okay. I had a hunch that it wouldn't, but it was worth a try. After all, this fit the door. This fit the door perfectly, but it was unlocked.
Just out of curiosity's sake, the shovel that's in the closet, does it have any fresh dirt on it?
Roll an investigation check.
Good call.
That's a 23 again.
Nice.
It is dusty, but it does seem to have some dirt on it that seems out of place.
Well, we have the tool of grave disturbance.
That's a little curious. You would imagine that any grave robber would, live somewhere other than this abandoned, perhaps haunted house. Unless there is someone still living here after all.
Perhaps the missing husband come back.
They
after
could be
all these
storing
years.
something in the basement.
Or
Also,
in
why
the
is it
grave.
always the basement? Why can't it just be, like in the shed outside or something? It's always the basement.
Oh,
Or
the basement
perhaps-
is more secure, and there's a bit of a dramatic flair to it if you think about it.
But yeah, but I mean, if you're living in the damn house, like, I don't know.
Or perhaps it's something hidden in the grave.
Well, we have a
Like-
trapdoor to come back to, and a second floor to check. Out of
And
character, did we
Duchess
ever?
Agatha apparently does not like my scarf.
Oh, I was up when you guys checked back on that. Did it like cast off the scarf?
When you guys returned to the
scarf was-
foyer, Demir's scarf was just sitting in the middle of the floor.
I don't know why. It's a very lovely scarf.
Can we go check the
Agatha
gallery?
must not enjoy the delicacies of fashion.
Or maybe she just has her own fashion sense. Who knows?
Still holding Lish's hand, Tobias is gonna go towards the gallery to check it to see if the bust is still there.
Mm-hmm. It's still there.
Is it looking towards them?
Yeah.
I do think we should break it.
I agree.
Please do not break the magical stone. We have a very, very bad history with that.
Exceptions are made. Are we going upstairs? The bus seems harmless, at least for now.
Sure.
Sounds like a
Alright.
plan.
And with that, we will call session for the week.
Oof. All right.
I hope you guys like this
love
haunted
you
house I
guys.
put together for you guys.
I love
Love
it.
I
It's super great.
combined things from both Candlekeep Mysteries and the Guide to Ravenloft.
Nice.
Good.
I love
So.
it. I love it.
Boopy.
All the spoopy goes.
Yeah.
More spooks.
I will share the playlist with you guys. Let's see. But thanks for playing, guys.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thanks for DMing.
Thank
Thanks
you
for
as
putting this together.
always.
Yeah.
This is already a very interesting mystery scenario.
Yay.
Yeah.
I
Great
voted
ease back
well.
into fighting for our lives.
Mm-hmm.
I also just desperately love that Lish is the only one that has seen like all of the creepy shit so far, or noticed the creepy shit.
That's what happens when you're the one to open the doors in the haunted house.
Listen, consider. After the campaign is all over and done with, Lish and Tobias should set up an investigative service. Because Toby's got the highest investigation score of the party, and Lish keeps consistently finding all the creepy shit.
Lish is just like, I find the creepy stuff. Tobias, go look it out. Go check it out.
We've got Velma and Shaggy. Now we just need the rest of the Mystery Machine gang.
Look, I'm just not interested in getting possessed by ghosts. It's just not a good time.
Scratch that. Lish is a cross between Shaggy and Fred. No, Shaggy and Daphne.
Is Lish the one who always gets kidnapped then?
Yeah.
I'm not.
Anyway,
Yeah.
thanks for playing, guys.
Thank you.
Play
Yeah.
more next week, probably. Who knows what people schedule?
Fingers crossed. We'll figure it out.
I'm really excited about this haunted house, guys.
So am I.
Yes.
See you next
Is it
time.
Saturday yet? I want to play more.